This is America. The greatest atrocity against mankind. American chattel slavery. If you traced your lineage, what would you find? Do you know where your roots lead to?
Grace and peace, Black family. This is Vicky Dillard, your sister with the curly braids. And I want you to get ready for the new Master Elements project, The Spear and the Shield.
This vaccine isn't experimental. It's like a dandelion. You overlook it for they weird science.
DJ RP Beats and Sincere Love the God have taken this time during the pandemic to carefully craft the soundtrack to Black empowerment with hot tracks like God Mine, featuring Sadat X of the legendary group Brand Nubians.
We never die. I made an ancestral shrine. Let's see what's in the God's mind. Listen, I'm a law in a person of sincere of the God. That mean your arms too short like tall Anthony Shaw.
God painted me black.
God painted me black. Thanks for that. I'm a original man.
A letter to Dr. Francis Cress Welsing.
I say to the ancestors, dear Dr. Francis Cress Wilson, I just wanted to thank you for all the lessons you left us. So yes, I'm more than grateful.
And the controversial song Buck Breaking God today.
Why every black show they gotta have a transgender? Either I'm crazy or this gotta be a planned agenda.
Get ready, Black family. This is a much needed project. This is The Spear and the Shield.
When we look at myth and ritual also being ceremony, what we're actually looking at is a story. It is paying homage to all things that came before you. It is like saying that when you perform in life and you don't call upon the ancestors, it's like you're acting alone. So you call upon these forces to be with you and to guide you. And most of these forces actually represent aspects of nature. In Kemet, they would be called nyctegur. The community, as generations go on, create a ceremony, a ritual, either reenacting what that hero or shero did, or it will be reenacting exactly what may have spurred the event on. And so myth allows us to reenact the event through the story, so that when you're looking at the cosmology story, what our ancestors are looking at is that they're looking at the earth. And what they notice is that there are creations that come in the form of a seed, and that the seed placed in the earth, the womb of Gaia, the womb of the living earth, now is going to bring forward plants. Plants are going to go through a growth process. As they go through a growth process, they're going to age. As they age, they are then going to die. When they die, they are going to decay. But after they decay, they're going to resurrect themselves in spring to another life form. So the very first forms of resurrection came from agricultural science, when humans were able to scientifically model life as it related to the world around them. Then these humans, as they started to think, began to look at themselves. And they began to say, but in our science, we also come from a seed. And in this seed, we are then born. And then as we are born, we grow. As we grow, we age. As we age, we die. When we die, our body decays. And then we resurrect ourselves. And that gave birth to the Asarian drama. We are now existing in the cusp. We are moving out of Pisces into the age of Aquarius. Just as it was 2,100 odd years ago, we were moving on the cusp out of Aries, the ram, the family of sheep, The ram is the male sheep. The EWE is the female sheep. But what's the baby sheep called? It's called the lamb. So the Lamb of God, who will take away the sins of the world, is going to be ushered out of Aries into Pisces, who is going to be the what? The fisher of humans. And he, the Piscean, the fish, is going to lead to the age of Aquarius. When you search for truth, righteousness, and justice, when you look at the laws of the cosmic universe, you come to understand that everything is in balance. Everything comes into existence as it relates to the coming together of two concepts that some people would call in opposition, some people would call complementary. We all understand that each and every one of us is half man and half woman. And out of this, our ancestors paid homage to this. You have Aset, who is known to be the mother of the human family, the wife of the male creator, Asar. Other entities like Ma'at, it was she, the righteous path, that brought things into existence with order and arrangement. And it was her husband, Tehuti, the ibis bird, that would be the wisdom and knowledge. So the way in which our ancestors put it through scientific means and through spiritual means is that in order to be on the right path, you have to have the wisdom to be on the path. But in order to have wisdom, you must be on the path. So in a sense, these are complements to each other. They are husband and wife. And when men do what they're supposed to do, women can do what they're supposed to do. But there are responsibilities as men and women that we have. And women have awesome responsibility. And it is not until the righteousness and the balance and the harmony comes back in the cosmos and on the earth, the relationships between men and women become balanced again. Not to put her on a pedestal, not to put her in front of us or behind us, under us. She belongs beside us. Her role is very important as it relates to bringing the world back to where it should be. And when you go back to African traditional societies, you can see that balance. You can see the respect and the honor that women are given. You also recognize the difference between men and women. There is a difference, but that difference does not mean better or worse, superior or inferior. There is just a difference because in order for life to continue, there has to be a difference between the genders, because when we are in unity, we are actually the original creator God of all. And out of that, we create other little gods who are our children.
Do for self or suffer the consequences. The wisdom of Elijah's inside of the conscientious, so I move with it. All right. That's how we had to set that thing off today. What's going on, family? You already know. And that clip was actually from our guest for this evening that we got coming up for y'all. So before I let that cat out the bag, for those of y'all that don't already know, welcome to another episode of SincereluvdagodCast. This is the Black Business Showcase. I am the God, Sincere Love, here with my lovely co-host, nyctegur. And yes, I am still very hoarse. My voice hasn't come back yet.
And yes, my forehead is still big.
Big foreheads matter.
Big, they do. That's a shirt.
Big foreheads matter. Right. And so before we get started, Nicety, did you know? We'll start, right? Let's start here. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Make sure that y'all hit the like button. Make sure that y'all share this out right now. Let everybody know that we are live right now with another episode of the Black Business Showcase. We got a great guest coming up for y'all. If you're not subscribed to this YouTube channel, make sure you click the subscribe button and the notification bell so you can be reminded whenever we go live with new episodes. We do the Black Business Showcase every Wednesday and Thursday. 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Also, you can check us out on Sundays, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 1 p.m. Pacific Time for our regular broadcast where we cover current events and talk about issues that we feel are important and relevant to what's going on in Black society. So make sure y'all check us out for all of that. But is Star here yet? I don't see Star in the chat. Star should be
Star's
pulling
not
up
here
in a
yet.
minute.
Star's
Somebody
not here
go.
yet.
Somebody go get Star, man. Somebody tell Star we live. Nicely, did you know that Star had a business? Did you know that Star was a businesswoman out here?
I seen someone retweet. Yes.
Today? That was me.
No, previously, and I told her about it. I was like, hey, you know, this is nice. And she's just like, humble, thank you.
Yeah, I had no idea. She had retweeted me, I think, earlier, and I just went on her page and I seen it was pinned on the top. And I'm like, yo, wait a minute. Why you ain't tell me you got a little clothing brand going on, man? You know we gotta shout you out.
Right.
You know we gotta shout you out. So make sure y'all go grab a t-shirt from my sister, man. Go to what is this? A Apparel, ayapparel.com. I said that wrong. It's AY Apparel Company, but company is short, co.com. ayapparel.co. All right. Go get a t-shirt from my sister, support her. That's our moderator. She helps us out a lot with the broadcast. She's always supporting and showing love to the new Black media. So go grab a t-shirt from our sister, man. We appreciate y'all. All right. She should be pulling up any minute. So let me let y'all know who we got coming to the stage tonight, man. And we're going to go ahead and get this thing started. Again, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. So our brother Amadeuz Christ is a film director / editor from the San Francisco Bay Area. He is the founder of 7 Media Company and creator of Out of Darkness film series. After becoming certified as an audio engineer, then earning a BA in radio, television, and film, Amadeuz Christ began his film career shooting music videos with work eventually landing on major networks and platforms, including MTV and Revolt TV. In 2014, Amadeuz Christ would go on to establish a film production company called Building 7. And so without further ado, family, I would like to introduce to you our guest for this evening, Mr. Amadeuz Christ. Welcome to the GodCast, family.
Peace, family. Hey, first of all, bro, you had me sold on the intro music.
Okay.
The intro, I was gonna ask you like who produced that, bro. Then I heard you rap, and I was like, oh, I'm a fan, bro. I'm really, like, a fan, bro. That's like the first time I heard you rap.
I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah, you gotta hook me up with some of your music, bro.
Absolutely. Yeah. I appreciate you, man. I'm so glad you said that. I swear, I was talking to my DJ today, my producer today, and I told him I was gonna be interviewing you. He like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, I don't think he heard the music, man. I gotta let him know what we got going on. Like,
yeah, I sure didn't, bro. That kind of caught me off guard. You feel me? And then you brought Kaba in. It kind of brought me back down. You know what I'm saying? I was ready to rap at first. You know what I'm saying? But yes, yeah, man, I appreciate you having me. Glad to be here.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you taking the time. Boom. So yeah. How we like to get started, man? We like to get the origin story from the guest. So you're gonna have to take us all the way back.
I don't know if you want the real origin. Okay.
I need that. How did we get here?
Bro, it's funny. It's funny because I actually got here through music. I was a rapper turned producer turned audio engineer, got certified in Pro Tools, started a distribution company. I got distribution secured, and I was basically acting as I was wearing a lot of hats, bro. I'm sure you know how it is, making your own beats, rapping on them, running recording studios, and then trying to do the business end of it. So basically, like in Oakland, I was kind of like, I had my own record label and I had my own projects, but I was consulting other record labels and other artists at the same time, trying to get them, establishing up off the ground. That kind of segued into music, kind of to film, kind of by chance, bro. One of my homeboys, one of my photographers, his name was Pianki. He had a homeboy named Yap, and Yap was the guy who did a film called Sideways. And Sideways was about the East Oakland sideshows. I don't know if you're familiar with the sideshows in Oakland, but he did a whole documentary on it, and he kind of asked me to do like the intro. At first he just told me like to write like an intro to it, and I ended up recording it, and he kept it on there. So somebody's knocking at my door. So I record the intro for him at his studio, and when I get to his studio, I'm seeing him. He's editing film, and I had never seen Final Cut Pro. I had never seen anybody edit on film before. So I kind of asked him. I was like, "Bro, what are you doing?" I said, "That looks just like Pro Tools," and he was like, "No, this is film. I'm making a movie. You know what I mean? This is the movie." So that kind of stuck with me. So this is around like 2006, 2007. Kind of by chance. I know this sounds crazy, but I ended up working at Google. I got a call from a contracting company that wanted me to help run this program at Google. So trying to make a long story short, when I got to Google, that kind of inspired me to go back to school and get my degree. Got my degree, got my BA in film, radio, television, and film. That kind of segued into doing music videos because I was linked in with the radio station. So I started doing music videos. Got a couple videos on MTV, Revolt TV, hit all the blogs and everything. And then I kind of got jaded a little bit with the industry, wanted to kind of like do my own thing. And that kind of segued into me doing a film. And that became Out of Darkness. I know it was like, it's way more stuff that happened and it's
of course
complex, but I'm trying to give it to you in a nutshell.
We'll try to fill in the blanks as we go along, because I got a couple of questions there. Because you mentioned the distribution company. I'm kind of curious to know, what that entailed, because I know it's kind of like that's been like one of the areas they tried to keep us out of the most, the distribution area. So Absolutely. What exactly were you doing as far as that?
Well, this was before everything went digital, right?
Okay.
So I had got a distribution. So the school I went to was called Globe Recording Institute in San Francisco, right there on Bryant Street, right off the bridge, right when you come over the Bay Bridge. Okay. So the first semester, it's like $10,000 a semester, bro. It was like not cheap. You know what I mean? It was not cheap.
Yeah, like Full Sail. I know Full Sail.
Yeah, it was along those lines.
Yeah.
So after I got, at first I got certified as an audio engineer. So boom, I'm on Pro Tools. I'm making beats, doing my sessions. The second semester there was a music business program, right? So I took the music business program, and it was taught by a brother from New York, from Harlem, called his name was C. Michael Bray. Shout out to C. Michael Bray. So he was like real like gung ho. He was real like military. You know what I mean? He had us like, he was like, this isn't business, this is war. And he would have us like look up like the radio stations, like the college radio stations. They had a thing called Radio Locator at the time, where you could like pick a city like Houston, right? And it'll show you all the radio stations, all the broadcasting stations, college radio, and it'll show you like a map of how far that tower broadcasts. And he was like, you got to take over this tower and then go to college radio, take over this. So he really had me on some like military, like war, like Sun Tzu. You know what I mean? That whole school was like, like shout out to Maestro. Maestro was a dude from Louisiana. and he was putting me on to like all the David Icke books and all of that stuff. So my brain was like, you know what I mean? So he had a company called Hitman Records, and he had distribution, and I kind of piggybacked off of his distribution at first with the physical. This was when CDs were still out, and then everything kind of shifted the next year, because I had spent maybe like 10 racks on pressing up CDs of like it's on iTunes and all of that stuff now. We released 2 projects. One was called Cold War, and the other one was called Too Hard for the Radio. And I had like E40 on there, Richie Rich, the Jacka, whole bunch of other people.
Bay Area Legends.
Bay Area Legends. Yep. So I was tapped in, bro. I was tapped in. But I kind of like walked away from it. But to answer your question, I ended up signing a deal with a company called In Grooves in San Francisco. And at that time, I was going through my boy Ghazi. And if anybody knows who Ghazi is,
Empire Records.
That's Empire Records, yeah. Wow. Ghazi actually, like, I used to sit there at Ghazi's house and watch him master my records, bro. And I used to we used to just chop it up, and I watch him master my records. And he like taught me how to master. Ghazi taught me a lot of stuff just by watching him. So Ghazi later on ended up leaving In Grooves, and he ended up finding Empire. But I don't have any projects at Empire. So the reason why I brought that up is because that was the shift to digital, right? And when that shift happened, it started like around 2006, and it's still kind of happening. But I think that company is now owned by Universal, so I'm like, I got to get like my songs and my masters back. But yeah, so that kind of taught me. I had like ran companies before that, bro. Like I had started like cell phone companies and stuff like that when I was like 17 years old, bro. So okay. I was no stranger to business. It was just like music was a step, and then film was a bigger step, because music, you don't really have control. You know what I mean? It's a lot of non-Black people in the music industry that's like kind of pulling the strings. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And those are the ones that's making all the money and like dictating to us like the music we should be making. You know what I mean? And then I got into the whole payola thing, and having stuff I can't really talk about without getting in trouble, but I just didn't want to play that game. So I kind of got away from music around the same time that my son was born, and that kind of like made me take life more serious. And I chose film because I had more control over film. You know what I mean? And I felt like film was just like way more impactful.
Interesting.
You know what I mean? I'm stopping to give you time to ask the questions, because I know I can be like long-winded, and it's a lot to say. I'm still like condensing everything. You know what I mean?
Do you mix music though in the process of making music over movies? Like, which one do you enjoy the most, or do you enjoy the people that you fell into the movies because of the, I guess, musical politics, if you will?
Put it like this: the music that I was making, I wouldn't want my son to hear now. You feel me?
Yep.
Music. If it forces, well, at least it forced me to be too honest, too honest. And I was making songs that I probably shouldn't have been making, but it was like my real life at the time before I had my son. And then when I had my son, I became a man, and I had to take a look at myself and do reevaluation, and really line up my morals according to the person that I wanted my son to model himself after, if that makes sense.
That's heavy. Absolutely. That's heavy.
Absolutely. I love it.
Man, I didn't even know it was gonna get like that. But
Yeah, I'm still giving you
we
the light
appreciate
version.
it. We appreciate it, and I want you to feel free to build. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're not going on no tangent. Like, this is what we here for, man. This is what we here. We here to
Yeah.
get the story. So we know we can't get the full story. That's impossible. But we definitely want to give you the platform to be able to share your story. So feel free to build on it.
It
man,
was
hearing you talk about the music. You say you say you was jaded, but you really sound heartbroken.
I was heartbroken at the music because the music wasn't what I thought it was. Like anybody who gets into the music industry, when you're young and when you're a kid and when you're 15 and you're idolizing rappers, and especially like in the 90s, it was like rap was the thing, right? We didn't like, that was like the whole kingdom. The Black kingdom was around rap music. And it's not like that now. I don't think like rap has the same hold that it did as it did when I was a kid. But growing up, I really thought like I was gonna change the world. Like I was looking at like Tupac and how big, how big of an impact he had. Like Tupac influenced me to read. Like, bro, like when I found out like he was reading all those books, bro, I used to like cut. I used to go to South San Francisco High School, bro, for my first 2 years of high school. I used to like, bro, it was just so bad. It was just like so many fights, bro. And when I like decided that I was wanted to learn that day, I didn't go to school. I would cut school and go to the library and read like Niccolo Machiavelli. You know what I mean? I would be reading The Prince and the Discourses, and then his third book, The Art of War, that nobody really talks about. But yeah, bro, I was reading, you know what I mean? I was really reading. But I know that's like a side tangent, but the music, to go back to the music part, the music just brought a whole bunch of bad energy in my life, bro.
The music or the music industry?
I wasn't really in the industry per se. I was on the peripheral. I'm talking about like street stuff. You know what I mean? Like stuff I can't really talk about.
I got you. I could imagine. I could imagine, especially if you put in, street business in the mixtapes and all of that. And you know what I mean?
You can't separate it, bro. Look how many rappers then died this year, bro.
Right.
How many rappers have died this year? Like you can't separate. Like rap is not like a regular business where you can just like, oh, I'm going to work today. No, rap is like, bro, like you really like putting yourself at risk. You feel me? And like in the Bay Area, rap is inseparable from the street life. You know what I mean? I chose to stay alive. I chose to pivot into something that was gonna benefit my people, benefit me, benefit my family. You know what I mean? And then I always wanted to be positive though. Even when I was rapping about like, I had like the party songs, but I was also rapping about a lot of like government stuff and like Illuminati and stuff. Like Illuminati was like big at the time. I was making a lot of songs saying a lot of stuff that probably the powers that be would have probably pushed the button on me anyway if it wasn't the streets that took me out. You know what I mean? So I never thought I would live past 30. Never saw myself living past like 27, 28. It was just like never a possibility that I saw. It was like maybe, you know what I mean? That's why like I wanted to do music to leave like this legacy behind. But when I found out that I could make more of an impact with film, that's where all my energy kind of diverted to.
Cool. Yeah, it's interesting to hear you talk about that and to say that you were, working with Ghazi like that, and I'm not going to ask you to speak on that, but we've pointed out on this platform, a lot of those rappers that have died recently were connected to that label. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a weird thing. Weird thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
We glad that you made it out and you still here. You made the transition that you made because I'm a big fan of your work, bro. I'm a big fan of your work. Like,
I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
I got the movie right here. We're gonna get into that in a little bit. I got the first one around here somewhere too, but I think I still gotta unpack some boxes.
That's what's up.
Yeah, man, I'm a big fan of the work. So you know, when you decided to do film, as Out of Darkness your first film?
Out of Darkness was the first one. Yep.
It was the first film.
Yep.
So
yep.
So what made you go in that direction with the consciousness and digging into our history? And how did you make the connections with so many of the master teachers also?
Okay, so that's a good question. I always had it in me. I would say, okay, so there's a couple of events that happened. The main event that kind of put me on this path was me seeing, I was on my way to the studio one day. I'll never forget, bro. I was in Oakland at my mom's house. I'm on my way to the studio. Boom. The TV, I didn't even realize the TV was on, but the TV, like I noticed the TV and it's on channel 9, which is KQED. I don't even know if they have that anymore. Probably not. KQED was like public access television. So on KQED, I'm hearing this man talk, and it was like, you ever seen like the movie Malcolm X? Yep. With Denzel, and he's in jail, and then he sees like who did he see?
I forgot
Elijah
the brother's
Muhammad.
name.
Elijah Muhammad.
That vision. Okay, yeah.
He saw the vision, and it was like almost in gold. You feel me? That's how this was for me. But it was Dr. Clark, and the film was A Great and Mighty Walk. And I just remember like something had me, like something just told me to just sit there and watch this. You feel me? So I'm sitting there watching it, and he's just breaking down. Like, I just give you one thing he said that stuck with me. He said, he was talking about the first piece of writing that came from Europe, which is I believe it's the Iliad and the Odyssey by Homer. Yeah. And he was like, that book came out around, I don't know what he said, 650 BC. And another interview was like 60 BC, but I think he actually said like 1100 BC is where Greece was like starting to be born, right? And he was like, yeah, in Egypt at that time we had already gone through 24 dynasties. I said, what? You feel me? And that, like, he was like, we were old then. We had already gone through 3 golden ages, 4 golden ages. You know what I mean? And then he's like talking about Egypt, and nobody had ever made the connection with Egypt and us and Black people for me until I saw that. And just like, you know, that put it on a timeline for me. Like, I'm a very, very visual person. Like, I like to see, you know what I mean? I have to visualize stuff in my head. But when he said that, that's kind of like when the spark happened, and it kind of stayed there. And then like a few years later, 2011, 2012, you know, I'm working at Google. I got a lot of extra time on my hands. I'm sitting in my office and I'm just watching YouTube videos, and boom. Shout out to TAP, Transatlantic Productions. They had all of the they still have them, all of the 80s lectures with Dr. Amos Wilson and Dr. Clark and Tony Browder and Kaba and Dr. Ben, and all these videos is on YouTube, right? So boom, I go down. I at first I accidentally came across a video by Dr. Claude Anderson. And it's the title was like Black people's in all caps, and it said Black people are in trouble. Watch this video now. And I watched this video, and he was like, because I knew I wanted to do a film, right? I'm trying to put this in perspective. I knew I wanted to do a film, but at first I was just going to start with slavery, right? I was going to start with slavery, and then I was going to have a small little piece of who we were before slavery, right? So then I watched this Dr. Clark video, and then I go down this rabbit hole, and I'm watching all the Dr. Clark's, Dr. Claude Anderson video, and then I'm watching all these Dr. Clark videos and Dr. Ben videos, and I'm going down this rabbit hole, And man, when I tell you, bro, like that's where the alignment happened. You know what I mean? And it's probably like around the same time, like Hidden Colors is coming out. You feel me? I saw Hidden Colors 1. I keep it real with you. Like when I first saw Hidden Colors, like the very first one, I was like, get out of here. You know what I mean? Like this made me like, but it made me go and research, and I was researching things in the film. You know what I mean? On top of like me coming across all these videos. So, and then I always been an avid reader. So now I'm ordering all of the books that Dr. Clark is talking about. You know what I mean? I'm ordering all of the books that Dr. Ben is talking about. I'm ordering all of the books, Stolen Legacy, George G.M. James. You know what I mean? I'm watching Dr. Walter Williams. I got his book. You know what I mean? I got a lot of books, bro. Like you could probably see them.
Whole library going on.
a few of them is behind me, bro. That's like that's nothing. But I just started reading. So then that's kind of how it came about. So how I actually got the elders in the film is they happened to be coming to the San Francisco Bay Area. You feel me? And I would just, I would be like, okay, when is Dr. Joy DeGruy gonna be here? And I look on her calendar and it would be like June 8th. She's going to be at such and such and such and such. And I can drive there. You know what I mean? So I would just like drive there, go to her lecture, and I was blessed that each of them would just give me like 15, 20 minutes of their time after, you know what I mean? Hey, I'm just a young college student. I'm just a young filmmaker. Let me have 15, 20 minutes of your time. I'm doing a movie. Yeah, sure. Yeah, sit down. Yeah. Wait till all these people clear out, and then I'll give you some time. And that's how I got most of them.
You were filming that? You filmed those conversations like that?
It was Out of Darkness. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Only one of them I actually like Kaba, right? When you see all of the where he's in front of the black, like I actually planned that. I actually like flew Kaba to San Francisco and Oakland, and he stayed there. We actually like planned that out. You know what I mean? But everything else was just kind of like on the fly. That's why you hear all the noises in the background. It's like, why is people talking in the background? You know what I mean? Because it was just like, yo, let's just do this. You know what I mean? Heavy as a Crown is not like that. Heavy as a Crown was like very planned out. The audio, you know what I mean? Everything is like crisp. People was like, oh, you shot that on green screen. No, we were in Egypt shooting that, bro.
Right.
We're at Norway, bro. We're in Nubia. We're at the Sacred Lake in Karnak Temple, bro.
You were traveling with Anthony Browder?
I was. So we shot that in two trips. The first time I went on his study tour, he hit me up. He actually brought me out there, and I brought my family with me. So we did the 2-week study tour, which was definitely worth it if you got the money. I think it's like, it's close to $5, but it's $5, but it's worth it. My numbers might be off. It might be about 4,500 now. But it's definitely worth it. So you do the 2-week study tour. You go through all the temples. I think it's like 10 or 12 different temples you go to, on top of museums and stuff like that, and Luxor Museum, Nubian Museum. So, and then we stayed, I stayed after the family went back, I stayed for another week at his site, because, he's doing a dig site over there in South Ossetia on the west bank of Luxor. He's got a whole team over there. So I stayed for a week, help, filming some promo stuff. And then we went to Sudan. Ronoko Rashidi had a week.
Rest in power.
What's that?
I said rest in power. Rest in power.
Rest in power, yeah. Ronoko Rashidi actually brought us to Nubia for a week right after that. We went to Sudan, and we went to Merowe and El Kuru and Karima and the whole, Jebel Barkal and that was amazing. We actually like stayed in the real Nubian villages, not no hotels. We were staying in like people's houses, and oh man, I got stories on top of stories on, you know what I mean? Driving, like mobbing through the desert, you know, going through all of these security checkpoints. Like they tried to like hem me up at the airport before he left. Tony Browder had to step in. It was crazy, bro.
Wow.
So then right after that, I went to Italy for a week. Shot in Italy, went to the Vatican. And then, so this was 2016, and then 2019, I went back for a few weeks with Tony Browder again, and went to his dig site. And then he had a big gala dinner with a whole bunch of officials in front of Luxor Temple. So that was really dope. We got the footage for that too. And then I ended up getting a lot more footage for the film that second time. You know, we went into the Valley of Kings. I went into Seti I's tomb, which you're not supposed to film in there, but I was able to get some pretty dope pictures. You know,
I was going to ask about that. How was getting, you know, your cameras in some of these places, you know, out there?
Man, they took my camera at one point. They took my camera. But I got it back. But they don't play over there, man. They snatch your camera up and they start yelling at you, and you be like, you gotta pay people. But
they said Tony Browder's like Jay Prince over there, though. You get your stuff back.
You get it back. He'll get your stuff back. Him and Ahmed is his tour guide that he works with. Ahmed stepped in. You know what I mean? But to answer your question, you just got to get photo permits. You just pay for the photo permits. You know what I mean? I learned my lesson the first time. You know, some places you can't shoot at. They won't let you in there with a camera. But yeah, it's cool. You know, they don't really trip on you like that. It was a few guys following me the whole time. I didn't know if they was FBI or CIA, but they was following me the whole time.
Wow. But what I'm gonna do right now, real quick, for those who haven't seen the brothers' films, I'm gonna play the trailer for the Out of Darkness film, so you guys can get a visual. I know many of us are visual learners. Let's get a look at the first trailer. So this is the first film. You saying you basically just guerrilla shot most of this?
I did, bro. I did. I did. I'm gonna tell the truth.
Hold on a second.
It's very difficult for people to change their beliefs. That's exactly why it's very important for us to raise our children and socialize them and educate them appropriately with the right beliefs. Because whatever those children believe, by the time they're 12 years old, they're not likely to change it again.
This is our land. We got to teach our people that they're home. We have to teach our people their nationality.
Dr. Clark said we lost our sense of nationhood, and he was right, because we lost our memory of what it meant to be a nation.
We are the only people who have gone through this identity crisis, trying to find out who we are.
This is to mentally and politically disconnect the people from the land and thus their inheritance.
Webster's Dictionary talks about the definition of America, and it is the Aboriginal or copper-colored natives found on the American continent by the Europeans.
In an effort to deny the African origins of culture and civilization, Europeans have paid money to send people in to excavate. And the more they dig, the more black they find.
And I've often said that in order for oppression, racism, slavery to have existed, you had to have every major institution in America complicit. In other words, everyone had to sign off on this.
When you got to murder, when you got to rape, when you got to distort, when you got to lie, when you got to deceive, when you got to undermine, when you got to practice genocide against other peoples in order to feel big up yourself. There's nothing supreme about you.
Nothing.
But the young brothers are not going to let that happen. Then out of this, you're going to have this movement of people. You're going to have the dynamics of the civil and the human rights movement. You're going to have this music, these words that are raising up our consciousness.
Meaning that music creates the consciousness, creates the information formulation that human beings use to make decisions.
and they set up the Illuminati. That's really, they're taking the honor and put a what you call negative spin on it.
The rhythms and the beats we were using was right out of African drum rhythms that we had never heard before. That's ancestors, that's spirit, that's God.
That trailer's cold.
First film, huh?
That trailer's cold.
Like, what the hell?
Yeah, that was a lot of stuff that was bottled up that I needed to get out.
Yeah, you got that one off, man. If you would have never said what you just said, I would have never guessed that. I would have thought all of that was, planned out, and you know what I mean. Like when I'm listening to it now, I can hear the difference in the audio compared to the new film.
Yeah,
because the new film, that shit is like $10 million movie or something.
It's just like when you have a bigger budget, bro, you could do more. You know what I mean? I just had a bigger budget the second time, so I could clear out a building. You know what I mean? If I needed to, and have everybody be quiet. You know what I mean?
Do you film, edit, produce, edit, do everything on your own? Do you outsource any of it? Wow.
Everything is me.
Wow.
Everything is me. I like doing everything. I feel like if I were to tell somebody something that I wanted done, it would take me more time to tell them how to do it than it would take me to learn how to do what I'm asking them to do and do it myself the right way, how I want it.
Honestly, man, when I look at your stuff, just from an artistic standpoint, just put all the information and all that to the side. All of that is great. But just looking at your style of editing, the way that you use images, the overlays, the audio, like it's all art. You know what I'm saying? So I can't even imagine you outsourcing one piece of that. That's something I don't even think you could give credit to the film school, because there was something that was already in you. They might have showed you what buttons you need to push, but there was something already in you where you know how to bring those visualizations to life and tell the story.
I didn't really learn too much in film school, to be honest with you.
Right.
I remember. Look. I told you I came into film by accident, so it's just something that I chose. I knew I wanted to go back to school, and I was just going through the list of all the different majors, and I was like, oh, film. If I pick, because when I was a rapper, bro, the thing that I wanted most was a music video, obviously, right? And at that time, you could get them pretty cheap now, but at that time it was like $5,000 to shoot a video, and I was like, dude, if I knew how to shoot my own videos, you know how much money I'd save. So I picked film. So boom, I go. I had to take a Final Cut Pro class, right? First, right? So that was the first class. So I would just tell you the class. So the teacher is like, okay, I'm going to give you guys some footage and you guys edit it and you guys make a story out of this. And then I'll tell you guys what you did wrong. And this will be the first lesson. So we're working on these Avid machines, bro. They're like huge. They're like the SSL boards, right? They take up like the whole room. And it's like buttoning. It's like click, this big click, click, click. So anyway, he gives everybody the footage. And everybody's like working on their little station, and he gives me the footage. And bro, it just seemed like really intuitive to me. And I just like zip, 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 zip. I raise my hand, and he walks over to me, and he's like, what do you need? He's like, are you missing some footage? I was like, no, I'm done. He's like, you can't be done. I was like, no, I'm done. I'm like, watch it. And he sits there and he's watching the thing. And I had put fades and stuff that he didn't even tell us how to do, bro. He didn't even tell us how to do it. And I had never even worked with Final Cut Pro, but it looks like a music video and it's got the music and the fades and all this stuff. And he's like looking at me. He was like, why are you in this class? And I'm like, I don't know. I guess I have to take this class. And he's like, I guess. He's like, I ended up getting an A in the class, but it just, I said that to not to brag, but it was just something that just came very natural, like having pieces of a story and having to put that story together and superimposing different images on top of each other to create a deeper meaning. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's incredible, man.
Pop your collar.
It's incredible, man. like my son, I have a 7-year-old, and he's a super smart kid. He likes to read books and stuff, but he don't really like to watch movies.
That's interesting.
If it's like a long movie, he'll get bored. He want to do something else.
That's interesting.
But I put on Out of Darkness.
Uh-huh.
It holds his attention. It captures him.
Wow.
You sit there and watch it. Like, he understands the Asarian drama from watching your film. You know what I'm saying? And his name is Heru. His name is 7 Heru, by the way.
Wow.
So all of those layers, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He thinks you're talking about him anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, I tried to make, especially with Heavy as a Crown, I try to make it easy enough for a child to digest. You know what I mean? Because it's like the information is so deep, bro. It's like so complex to where you gotta have the stimulating visuals. You gotta have the colors. You know what I mean? You gotta have the fighting. You know what I mean? You gotta have all of that, because you lose people's attention, especially in this day and age. I hate to sound like an old man. I'm probably showing my age, bro. but my son too. I got a 15-year-old. I got a 19-year-old and a 15-year-old, bro. That show you how old I am. But
they even harder to reach.
Man, I noticed that my son, I don't want to say like he ain't never been diagnosed with ADHD or anything like that, but I noticed like when he watches stuff, he skips around. He'll watch 30 seconds of this, go to another video, watch 2 minutes of this, go to another video. He's looking at his phone. He's got the video game, he's got his phone, and he's got his laptop, and he's looking between all three of them at the same time. I'm like, bro, how do you do that? And
they crazy.
Yeah, you really like the way the technology is moving. It really makes the kids like have really short attention span. So you really got to get them dialed in like immediately. You feel me? So that's what I tried to do. Just try to keep them engaged.
Great job, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
For real. I got a million questions, Nicey. You better jump in here.
Go ahead.
Okay. So I feel like I could learn so much from you, because what we're doing here, we're trying to build our own media company also.
Okay.
And so I have a question. When I go to your website, like let me pull this back. Let me pull this back up over here. Escape. So the trailer that we just watched is from your website.
Yeah.
But it's a YouTube video that's embedded on your website. And so how you could monetize your channel on YouTube and all of that.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, how does it work because I'm watching the video on your website. So how does that work as far as streaming and monetization and all of that? Because it's still a YouTube embedded video, but I'm on your site. So the traffic should go towards you.
The traffic will go to actually YouTube.
Okay.
Right, because it's just a YouTube embedded video, right? Like you said. So, so you want to know how YouTube monetization works?
Yeah, not really. I kind of have an idea of that. I was just wondering, when you take it off of YouTube, is it now yours?
What do you mean, the film or what?
The clips, because I know you got the clips from here. You got your trailers over here and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so, does that count? Is there a way to monetize that outside of YouTube, based on it being on your own site?
No, my site's not really optimized for monetization, bro. Okay. My site is optimized just to drive traffic to different places, right? Like all of those, the Apple TV logo and the Google logo and the Prime Video logo, like you could actually click on those. I'm sure you figured that out, but you click on those and it takes you to Prime Video to where you can watch the film, or Apple TV. So I took the Google approach to my website, bro. Like, it's just really simplified. I would, if I had my choice, I do, but I probably need to simplify it even more. But if I had my choice, it'd probably just be a white screen with a whole bunch of links on it. But yeah.
It's funny to know that.
It's funny that you said that, bro, because I had a blog from like 2008. And I used a picture of like Lil Wayne, and I was talking about like the state of hip hop way back in 2008. And like, I swear to you, bro, like 4 weeks ago, I got an email from some type of law firm trying to sue me.
Oh, wow.
For using that photo. And I'm like, this is fair use. You know what I mean? This is from 2000. I immediately removed the image, but they're like, oh, this is not fair use. I'm like, dude, it's a blog, right? I'm just literally saying my feelings. And I forgot about that. They're like, no, you're taking ads on your site and and this is collecting revenue. And I had to like really, you know, I was gonna get my attorney involved, and my attorney was like, well, if I get involved, they're gonna assume that you have money, and they're gonna like really pursue it. So just respond to them and just say, hey, this is fair use, da 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 da. And I did, bro. But the ads that are placed on my this was on a WordPress site. This is not this site.
Okay.
But the WordPress site was, you know, they had their own ads. You know, I didn't get any of that money. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So
Yeah.
so it just like, and I brought it up to my team, and I was just like, see, we got to be real careful how we move, because people will sue you for anything. You feel me? So yeah, my sites just got all original, all my own photos. It just got links to everything. Like I said, I don't like, my website is probably the only thing I don't monetize, right? But my YouTube is monetized. Of course, like all the platforms that the film is on, you know, is generated income, you know.
Okay. Yeah, because I was wondering, because based on, you know, most of the content that we do, I doubt that our channel will ever get monetized on YouTube. Like, we always get strikes and stuff like
really?
that. Yeah.
You got to be real careful about using other people's content, right? That's how they really get you. And if like, I don't see you guys like being in trouble for like profanity or content matter. Do you get, not for that?
I get in trouble for playing my own music sometimes. And like sometimes we use certain news clips, even though I put, you know, fair use disclaimer and whatever, they'll still strike it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, YouTube is kind of iffy when it comes to that. You know what I mean? Sometimes they seem very lenient, and sometimes it seems like they'll just come and shut your whole channel down. Like, your channel is done.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? And YouTube generates a good amount of money, but you know, for you to kind of invest in something that you don't own and control, and that could be shut down at any point in time, kind of, it is troublesome to me.
Right. And that's the reason why I was asking about the website. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, could we take this off of here, put it on our own platform, and, you know, not have that?
You can do that with Patreon. I don't know if you got a Patreon, but that's what Patreon is kind of for.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I don't know how viable Patreon is now, but it's set up just for that reason, right? You put your content on there. You can lock certain content up to where they got to be a subscriber or a member to your Patreon to get access to like exclusive content. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm seeing more content creators on YouTube use Patreon. What they'll do is maybe put a 5-minute clip on whatever topic they're talking about. You're like, all right, but if you want to know everything else, you got to hit the Patreon. You know? They'll give you a tease, kind of, but if you want everything, you got to hit the Patreon.
Yeah, I would go for it, bro, on the YouTube front, though. You know, it might be worth it to kind of figure out a format that you can use to where maybe you don't use other news clips or anything that might get you in trouble. You know what I mean? Kind of just make it a YouTube friendly format. But man, people are making big money. I'm not, but I know people, like, because I don't take it as much of a business endeavor as I should. I just now started taking my YouTube seriously. So I grew my YouTube since from the beginning of the year. I grew it from 14,000. I think we're almost pushing 37,000 now. So
do you do ads, or just like organic?
I run ads, but I run it on my film. So I run ads on the Heavy is the Crown trailer. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the ads will come up as the trailer, right? when other people are watching other videos, right? I have ran other ads. I guess they're called like discovery ads, bro. The Google ads is kind of complex. Facebook running ads on Facebook is super easy to do. Running ads on Google, bro, I had to get all types of certificates and approvals, and I had to send all types of emails to Google console team and get these ads approved. So I hope I'm not scaring you, or scaring anybody that's watching this, but it's in theory a relatively easy thing to do. You can either run ads with the picture or you can run it with the video. You know what I mean? I use the trailer because it's got all the links to the film. But most of the growth from the channel has been me consistently putting out videos at least once a month, right? Of, like a Kaba video, or I did a 3-part interview with Professor James Small, like three 20-minute pieces.
I watched them all.
Yeah. So that was dope, right? And then just like it's funny because I also just had other footage just on a hard drive, and I made a 6-minute video of that. He was just at a shop out here in Las Vegas, at a antique store in Vegas, African. I can't think of the name of it, but yeah, it was just like a 6 or 7-minute video, and I threw it up on YouTube. The first 3 months it's on YouTube, it does a couple thousand. Then all of a sudden it just shoots up out of nowhere, 250,000, 300,000. That's almost like 400,000 now. And YouTube, anybody who knows YouTube know that it kind of it goes by an algorithm. And the algorithm suggests different videos to different people. And if you just get on the side of the algorithm, you can go. You can go. You know what I mean? I got a taste of it. You know what I mean? I got a taste of it with that one video. I guess the algorithm was like, we'll push this video. But yeah, man. But that's something I really want to take more seriously is the YouTube. I got the merch. I got the film at all these different platforms. I'm getting ready to go into the next phase with Heavy as a Crown, which is it's called AVOD, Advertising Video on Demand, and those are all the channels where you can basically watch the film for free, but you're watching it with ads, like Tubi, right? Like you can watch it on Tubi right now for free. Boom, there you go. Tubi, go to Tubi. You can watch it for free. You just watch it with ads. But there's a whole bunch of other platforms, and we signed the first deal. We signed a deal with the first Out of Darkness last year. And we're getting ready to take that to AVOD, which is Amazon Prime. It's on there now, but Amazon Prime subscription where you can watch it for free, actually. Peacock, Freevee, which is IMDb TV, formerly Pluto TV, another channel called Fuse.
I have Peacock. It's on Peacock. Okay.
We're getting ready to take it to Peacock. We're getting ready to take it there. I have a meeting with my distributor in a couple of weeks. So,
are they showing it on Revolt? I thought I read that they were showing it on Revolt. So.
We signed a 3-year deal with Revolt, which was, I think, the end, right? 2020, the end of 2020. So it actually premiered 2021 2020, 2000. I'm getting my years mixed up, bro. But they did, they played it a lot, bro, for like a week. It was on several times a day. And so that was real good. That was a good look.
That is good.
Shout out to Travis over there at Revolt TV.
Now, do you know if your films are played in schools?
Played in schools?
Yeah. Do you know if they're played in schools, colleges, or anything?
Well, that's what we're trying to do now. We just did an event in Detroit at Dawson. Shout out to my team, bro. Shout out to Toby Tansel. out there in Detroit, Face Forward. My homie, my business partner, Vondell Williams, and also Gifted C. Johnson. All them brothers is from Detroit. It's like my second home, bro. Detroit reminds me a lot of Oakland. But anyway, he brought me out there. We did a screening of the Asarian drama for the elementary kids at Dawson Elementary in Detroit, Schoolcraft kids, and they loved it, man. We did it's called a earn and learn, where we would show them like a piece of the film, let them watch a portion of the film, and then ask them questions, and then if they get the answer right, we give them some money. You know what I mean? And they was so juiced. They were so juiced, and it's funny, man. When kids are incentivized to be participatory and to, you know what I mean, to really be engaged, they'll do it. You know what I mean? And they was answering the questions better than most adults I know. So that was really dope. So we are looking to kind of expand that program. We're looking at Richmond, Virginia, and another school district in Arkansas to kind of expand these programs out. But getting it in the schools, I mean, outside of like, you know, BSU's bringing me and doing showings, like to get it inside of the school and like part of the curriculum is very challenging, because you got a lot of Negroes and a lot of Europeans that just have issue with this information and just don't want anything like CRT related in the schools. You know what I mean? So they're just always going to push back on you, and you'll never have enough credentials for them. And you know what I mean? I'm sure that they'll look up the film and they'll be like, oh, I don't like this. You know what I mean?
Right.
So the job is to indoctrinate our children pretty much more than anything. So I get it.
Yeah, it's like they don't want you to challenge their version of the story. I think Tim Wise actually says that in the first Out of Darkness. He says that, you know what I mean? So that's a challenge. But man, I think the focus should be on the kids, right? So just gauging off how much the kids were engaged, we just decided to really turn that and make that the focus. That makes sense.
I'm even surprised to hear, you know, the names of some of the platforms that you actually do got the films on. So, you know,
we're everywhere, man. We are everywhere. Yeah. Amazon, Apple TV, Google Play, YouTube Movies, Vudu, Fandango, Ubiquity. Now we're on Tubi. We're getting ready to expand to all the platforms I just named, all the other ones.
You know, Tidal has movies too, right?
What's that?
Tidal.
Oh, Tidal. I didn't know that, bro.
Yeah, Tidal has they got movies on there too. So you should look into that one.
Okay. Appreciate that.
What I understand, I know as far as music streaming services, they're the most fair for artists. So I was going to ask you, out of those platforms, which one is the most fair deal as far as, you know, your compensation out of the deal?
I get well, every platform pays differently, right? Most of the platforms take their 50% cut, right? So you sell a movie for $15 on Apple TV, you're getting $7, which is not bad. You know what I mean? You get 1 million people.
It's bad. It's kind of bad. It's not bad. It's not bad, probably, you know, in your bank account, but I'm saying it's bad that you got to share 50-50 or something.
But there's no way getting around it. You know what I mean? There's no way getting around it. It sucks. Yeah, you're right. Because I get, for a DVD sale in comparison, I sell the DVDs on my site for $25, right? So at the end of the day, I'm making like $20 a DVD, but nobody wants to buy DVDs no more. You know what I mean? So I gotta be happy with my 7. I gotta be happy with my 7, especially the good thing about digital though, that 7 is not come with any merchandising or warehousing storage fees. You know what I mean? There's no physical product. You know what I mean? There's no it's just residual income coming in. So, and then you're getting access to, it's really beneficial for Amazon because you're getting access to their, I don't know how many hundreds of millions of people they got on their, in their database, right? So Amazon is definitely worth it. Amazon's probably like the biggest one. But you get access to all of their, like I said, you get access to all of their customer base, right? So it'll actually like suggest the film.
I was going to say they kind of got their own algorithm over there.
Yeah, they got their own algorithm. So based like if somebody watches like,
Hidden Colors, they're going to show
Hidden
you
Colors or a documentary on, slavery on Africa, something like that, it'll say, oh, based on your suggestions, we think you might like this and check this out. And then people will be like, yo, you know what I mean? I wasn't even looking for this, but I saw your movie and whoa, I was blown away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the deal that I have, my distribution deal, I get 100% of the profits that come back. So usually the platforms take their cut. And if you're going through, you have to go through an aggregator, and an aggregator is like your middleman. So you can't just take your movie to Amazon or take it to Apple or Google. They'll be like, no, you got to go through an aggregator. You have to your movie has to pass QC first. It has to go through a quality control encoding process check. And then once you pass through QC, then you can start using the aggregator. The aggregator is the company that has all the relationships with all of the different platforms, right?
Kind of like a DistroKid or
exactly. With film, it's a little bit more technical, because with music, I don't know if there's a QC process with music, but with film, you have to pass QC, and both for audio and visual, it's an extensive test. You know what I mean? And I failed like the first couple of times, bro. And I had to get really technical with it. Like to go back to your question, like I'm doing everything myself, right? So I have to look up all of the specs and all of this technical jibber jabber, you know what I mean? And it's just like, got it through QC. Yeah, bro. So it's just, you have your distributor, you have your distribution company. You can you can pick whatever platforms you want to go to. You know what I mean? You pay for whatever platform you want to go to. Some of them are curated, like Tubi has to accept you, right? Amazon has to accept you. A lot of platforms have to actually accept you. You just can't throw your movie at them and say, here, put it on your platform. Like they have to actually, like their buyers have to actually, they're looking up your reviews and they're looking up, your IMDb rating and all your stuff. And then they'll say, okay, this film has the integrity, the right integrity to put on our platform. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know it was that much to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a lot, bro.
I went through a little bit of trouble with the music.
Always emails about a business, having a business Amazon account. I guess, they'll just send you random emails. So the way that it looks on emails, you would think you're putting out. You know what I'm saying? Because they send you like these business emails about setting up a business account with Amazon. So to know that you kind of got to go through all this QC and you can't just put your stuff out and it has to go through this process, it doesn't look like that on the emails. Like you would think that you can just throw whatever merch, films, books, whatever on there, and then whatever their cut is, and you just go. That's kind of how it looks.
Well, yeah, that's with Amazon. Amazon is not the QC process that I'm talking about. That's through my film distribution company. But Amazon does have their own QC. They changed up on me because when I first put Out of Darkness on there, I could submit it myself, right? I actually put it on there myself. And then Amazon said, you know what, guys? We're not accepting any more documentary films, and we're not accepting any more unsolicited films from anybody. So it was like 2 years, and right like the month after Heavy as the Crown came out, I was like, bro, we got to get this on Amazon. We got to get it on Amazon. So I just submitted it to them, even though they weren't accepting documentaries anymore. I submitted it to them, bro, like, because I already had the first Out of Darkness on there. So I had the portal. You feel me? I was already like, had my foot in the door. So I just gave them Heavy as a Crown, and then I didn't think they was gonna take it, bro. And then they took it like 2 weeks later. It was on there. I was like, whoa, you know what I mean?
Cool.
But then there's another platform called Film Hub. And Film Hub is a place where you can upload your film, and platforms could come to Film Hub and they could pick what films they want, right? And then that's another way platforms will pick up films. And I know that Film Hub does have a QC process, but it's not as stringent as the first one that I went through with my first distribution company. So anyway, I forgot where I was going with that. So it's on Film Hub, and Amazon actually picked it up through Film Hub for their worldwide distribution. So that was like, that told me that I had something, right? Because not only did they submit it, but they came and repurchased it again, you know what I mean, to put it on SVOD. I'm probably saying a whole bunch of terminology that a lot of people don't understand.
SVOD was the first one I got lost on.
SVOD is subscription video on demand. So that is a platform that people pay a monthly fee, like your Netflix or your Disney Plus or your HBO.
What about
Max.
Netflix? What about Netflix?
If you can get a good deal, I would say it's worth it. I would say, I hope nobody at Netflix get mad at me for saying this, but that I might be outdated, but the deals that they were offering at the time that, you know, I was like looking for one, because I'm really not now. I have a project that I do want to take over to Netflix. I at least want to pitch it to them, but the deals that they were offering, you know, like an exclusive 3-year deal where I can't release it anywhere else but Netflix, and then the money that they were offering, it just didn't make sense. Gotcha. You know what I mean? Because I could have made that money. I did make that. Made way more money independently than I would have did with a Netflix deal. So that's why everybody's like, why your movie ain't on Netflix? You know what I mean? It's like, bro, the money don't make sense unless they're gonna offer me, like, you know, in the millions, like 6 figures. Those deals don't really make sense to me. You know what I mean? Unless it was like unless they came to me and was like, we want you to do a Netflix exclusive documentary, and then they had like a budget for me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you're gonna guaranteed walk away with $2 million from this movie, guaranteed. That's just your salary. I would do it. You know what I mean? I don't know how their deals are structured now, but it just didn't make sense.
That's what Monique was saying, the same thing when they offered her, you know, the $500,000 deal. And I believe it was like the same thing. She couldn't do anything for 3 years. So she's like, so y'all want to give me $500,000 and then I can't even go on the road with my own material. What kind of deal is that?
Right. And I'm selling like physical product, and I'm selling merchandise, and I didn't want all of that, all my rights tied up like that for any amount of time. I did it with the first Out of Darkness. For Out of Darkness, the deal that I just signed is a 3-year deal, right? It's a 3-year deal. But the only reason why I signed that is because I felt like, okay, I had done everything that I could do with that film, right? I have really nothing to lose by signing a deal at this point and giving it to this other worldwide distribution company and see what they do with it. and have them pour their resources into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Speaking of the merch, let's show some of the people, some of the stuff that you got. And this is at outofdarknessfilm.com. And after we could talk about the what is it sold out? What was going on?
No, I was gonna say the merch site is a different site, but it's linked on outofdarkness.com. You could if you go to the tab up there that says store, it'll take you to the store. But the merch store is called the 7 Collection.
The 7 Collection, okay.
.com, yeah, 7collection.com.
Y'all
But
need
it's the same merch that's on there, right?
Yeah, it is. Yep.
Yeah, I did mean to ask you about the name too. We'll get into that in a second.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom.
The flags.
Boom, boom, boom. So yeah,
yeah, I wish the NFTs would have panned out, bro.
Oh, they didn't?
It did, but and if like cryptos.
Oh well, right now it is, but you're gonna be good. You're gonna be good.
Yeah, I'm holding on to it.
Yeah,
I'm holding on to it. I just I don't want people to buy NFT and then it loses its value. You know what I'm saying? I got
what blockchain are you on?
I got Ethereum.
You're gonna be good.
Yeah, I got Ethereum. I'm holding on to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm holding on to it. It'll bounce back. But I got Ethereum and Poly. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt. Smart man.
Yeah.
Smart man. But what about the name, man? I forgot to ask you about that earlier. Building 7. Where does the name come from?
Bro, I don't know how it just popped into my mind, but it has so many different meanings. It has so many different meanings. You want me to break down the logo?
Yeah, let's do that. Hold on, let me put it back up. Hold on. No, I can get a close up of the logo.
Yeah, let me switch hats right quick.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Hold on. Where can I get a close up of the logo?
Go to store.
Go to store. All right.
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
Did it? Okay, then click on that 7. Yeah. You just click on that 7 right there. Click on that.
It took me to another page, another tab.
Yeah. So can you open that tab up?
1 second. 1 second. Let me present this tab. Yeah, some fly stuff. You got some fly stuff, fly merch over there.
It's coming along. So I got the hat, you know what I'm saying?
So yeah, I want you to break down the logo, the color schemes, the
name. Yeah, that's good. So the 7, the snake, you know what I mean? The snake is the Medu Neter symbol for it's a just sound. It's like a J sound, right? And that symbol, that snake, means to say. It means speech, and it also is like an instruction. Like if you read it on the Medu Neter is hieroglyphics for anybody who doesn't know what I'm saying. Medu Neter, it's the hieroglyphs. So the snake means to say, right? So it's like instructions to say, and it has a j sound, and then there's a hand. You need to probably get some better light. There's a hand that's coming out of the mouth, and that hand is the D, the letter D, and it means to give. So the snake and the hand together, it says Jed, right? Without the E, right? You put the E in there because Medu Neter doesn't have any vowels in it anyway. So it's Jed or Jedi. And Jed is Osiris, the column, his spine. And so that means it's like a masculine symbol for Ma'at, right? Ma'at, if anybody doesn't know, is balance, harmony, reciprocity, order. Did I say harmony? Harmonious balance, reciprocity, justice, righteousness, order. balance. So that's what it kind of means. There's a whole bunch of different meanings for 7, 7 days in a week, 7 major organs in the body. It also has to do with the circumpolar stars, the snake being Draco, the Draco constellation, the 7 representing the North Star, which is the Big Dipper, the ads. I don't know, bro, if I'm just speaking a whole bunch of mumbo jumbo. If you
most of our audience is pretty tapped in, so I think you're good.
And then also I'm just reading conversations with Olga Tameli because I'm heavy in the Dogon. And then I just found out that there's 8 Dogon ancestors. The 7th ancestor, they call him the Nomo. The 7th Nomo turned into a serpent, and he turned into a great serpent, and he was cut up into pieces and eaten. But the 7th Nomo, there's a whole kind of symbology behind it, where it's 8. There's 8 Nomo, and the 8 was speech. So the 7th Nomo became the master of speech. So the serpent represents speech, and him being the master of speech. And then there's this whole thing where the serpent swallows the Lebe, the first man, and he regenerates him. He swallows his skull and regenerates the man. So the snake also represents like rebirth, right? Because the snake sheds its skin, right? So when it sheds its skin and it's reborn, it kind of represents, death and resurrection. So we could talk about that for like a whole hour, bro.
Did you have the symbol before you learned that? Before you learned that about the Dogon?
I didn't. I didn't, bro. It was just like coincidental that it all lined up like that. I didn't really, in the beginning, I didn't really associate it with Draco constellation either, and the circumpolar stars either. But everything just kind of kept adding up. So I think it was just like the ancestors just gave it to me, bro.
Right.
You know what I mean? And right. it's got the snake skin on the belt buckle is snake skin.
Nice.
I don't know if you can see it.
We'll give you a close up.
But yeah. It's a couple other meanings behind it, but that's the general meaning.
Dope. It's dope.
Has to do with vibration coming into being, matter, the formation of matter coming into being through sound waves and vibration and stuff like that. Deep metaphysical stuff. Nerdy stuff.
We like it over here. we like it over here.
Yeah.
It's funny when he was talking about meeting Joy DuVernay, to try and get her to do the film when he was in school. And he was like, I went online and I looked at her calendar. The date that you said was my birthday. And then Jed, my uncle's name is Jesse, but his nickname is Jed. Like, I'm like, what's going on? Like,
that wasn't the real date. That wasn't the real date that I interviewed her. That was just what number popped into my head. So
that's even more heavy.
That's crazy. Randomly picked your birthday, huh?
And then you're talking about the hat, and you're like, and I was like, you call my uncle, who's an ancestor now, yeah. And then he said Jed, and I was like, wait a minute, we called my uncle Jesse Jed all his life.
Really?
I was Uncle Jed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's dope. Yeah, everything just be connecting.
It does. And Arkansas or Texarkana, when my family first came to California, they went to in the 60s before they came to Los Angeles, and I still have Oakland, Sacramento, those areas.
Okay, yeah. I knew you was on the West Coast because I seen you had daylight still when we began the interview. I was like, she can't be on the East Coast.
So it seemed like you have cultivated kind of like almost like a father and son relationship with Anthony Browder.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, that's one of my favorite teachers, man. Talk about that relationship, you know, how that came about, and you know, just even overall, because listening to your story through the film process, you know, a lot of us have read the material, we watch the lectures on YouTube, so on and so forth. But through you making the films, it's like you actually get to sit and study at the feet of a lot of these people that we admire so much.
Man, that's exactly what I was doing. Like literally while we're filming, bro, I'm literally like sitting at their feet, like sitting Indian style. Bro, yeah, it was literally sitting at the feet with the master. So I met Tony. I think that was like the second or third interview that I had did. I think it was the second interview Out of Darkness. So I met him at a place called Pan-African City Alive in Sunnyvale, right near San Jose, South Bay area. And there was they had a couple lectures there before. And then one week they were going to have Atlantis and her father, Tony Browder, come in. And again, Tony was one of the people that, you know, came up in my YouTube algorithm awakening, right?
Right.
Because I would, you know, Tony has like the coldest breakdowns on like film, like Avatar and stuff like that. So I was like, you know, I knew that Tony had an artist's eye, right? And he has a background in graphic design and architecture, right? So so they come, and the first lecture was Atlantis, right? Atlantis does her lecture, and I wasn't real too familiar with Atlantis at the time, but I was just like blown away by her presentation and just like how she delivered it. You know, she's like big sis, you know what I mean? She just really had that like big sis energy. So I was like, well, I want to get Atlantis in the film. So I ended up, made me a lot less nervous approaching her than her father did. You know what I mean? So my strategy was to you know, I wanted Atlantis in the film anyway, but my strategy was, let me, you know,
get cool with her.
I'm gonna get cool with her and then have her, hey, do you think your dad might want to be in the, you know what I mean? So Tony did his lecture, and then like I said, bro, hey, I'm a young filmmaker, you know, I'm a local filmmaker, local college student, you know, can I get 20 minutes of your time? Oh yeah, sure. Tony's like super cool. So I did it, you know what I mean? I did the interview, and I think it was like about 6 months later, I had the first draft of the first chapter, right? Of the first chapter, like the opening chapter of Out of Darkness, the War on History. So I sent him that. It was like 10 minutes, and I sent him that on Vimeo, and then he came back. He came back to the same place, Pan-African City Alive, and I showed up again, and I showed it to him with my laptop, and we were watching it. He was just like blown away by the quality. He was like, "You did this?" He was like, "You did this? Is the last interview? Like last time I was here?" It's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, okay." And then he kind of knew that I wasn't just a regular person with the camera. You know what I mean? He's like, "Oh, dude, you got some skills." So we just kind of cultivated a relationship after that. I did a lot of work with him. You know, Tony opened a lot of doors for me, bro. He got me on the Carl Nelson show. He brought me to DC. He would have me come out to DC, do screenings. I'd stay at his house, you know what I mean? And dude, his library.
I can imagine.
No. Walls of books. Tony was the one who showed me that you can be successful in doing this. You know what I mean? When I came to his house, I went there with my boy Toby, and we were looking at his house and just looking at the books, and just his whole, just everything was just like pristine. And I was just like, see, this is what You know, because you hear stories of like scholars dying broke and stuff like that. And, you know what I mean? And then, nah. Tony's about his business. You know what I mean? Tony's about his business. So he really was like, okay, he really showed me, you know, I never told him this, but he was like he was the one who showed me like, look, you could really support yourself doing this work if you really take it seriously. So, so boom, after the film, the first Out of Darkness came out, early 2016, he took me to Egypt that summer. Right. But I had already, like I said, I had already been doing a lot of film work for him prior to that, you know, because he ran a cultural imperative program and he was already tapped in with the schools. He was working with, shout out to Deborah Watkins at AKBAM, a Black Education Network in California. And he was doing like weekly, you know, programs with the kids out there. And I actually helped him produce a short series on his Browder file book, the Browder Files, right? So we did about, I don't know, 8 or 9 or 10 videos for that. So I was just working with him. Tony was just like really, you know, he really liked my work. He really liked how I conducted myself in a business sense. And yeah, he brought me to Egypt twice. We went to Sudan together, and he gives me a lot of fatherly advice outside of scholarship. You know what I mean?
I could even see it when he's talking to you. Like I said, I watch a lot of your stuff. So like I seen your interviews with him and all of that stuff. I could even see like, it seems to me like you're the son that he never had. You know what I mean?
That's interesting.
Right. That's the way it looks from the outside in.
That's
like,
interesting.
Honestly, just the way he talks to you, the way he looks at you. I'm like, you know, I know he only has his daughter, Atlantis.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm like, wow, I see Tony really takes a liking to this guy. And I see why, because again, I'm a fan of the work.
Yeah.
And I understand his background in graphic design, architecture, and all of that. You know what I'm saying? In addition to being a scholar, which is interesting. So we got to get your take on this too, since we got you here too. Because
how are you going there?
I have to. I'm not gonna ask you to speak. I'm not gonna ask you to speak for Tony, but I'm just, you know, we were taken aback by his take on the Woman King movie. A lot of us were put off by the movie, I'll admit, without even seeing it. As soon as we heard about it, as soon as we read about it, as soon as we seen the trailer, the title, we was like, nah, get this out of here. We don't want it. And then we seen Tony Browder say, yo, I forgot exactly what he said, but he was big in the movie. Coming from him, like you said, he decodes all these movies and stuff. So it made me scratch my head a little bit. And because of that, I want to watch it. You know what I'm saying? Have you seen it? What's your take on that whole thing?
I haven't seen it, bro. And bro, this is like a debate in my team, right? Because my boy, my business partner Toby seen it, right? My boy Toby seen it. We have weekly, we have bi-weekly, we have meetings twice a week. He comes in the meeting, he's like, yo, man, it's like one of the best movies I've ever seen, bro. And he's like super hardcore, Fullerite, super hard, bro. He's like, he's Kobe of the code, bro.
Okay.
He's like real hardcore on RWS, you know what I mean? And I totally wasn't expecting that. And he's like, no, bro, this is like one of the best movies that I've ever seen. He's like, bro, you need to check it out. And I was like, yeah. He's like, no, bro, go see. We actually just talked about this yesterday. And I told him I was going to see it. I told him I was going to see it. But then he told me, he's like, and then Professor Small was on Michael Imhotep's show, the African History Network. And he loved it. You know what I mean? He was like, this is one of the best movies that I've seen. And he got emotional a couple times watching it. He said that. And I'm like, okay, if the elders are saying this, maybe it's worth my time. So
are they coming from a cinematic perspective?
I think so.
See,
I think so.
I can understand the cinematic part.
Yeah, I think so.
Because they already admitted that they didn't stick to the real history.
Yeah.
Kind of brushed over their participation in the slave trade.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I'm pretty sure it's a good movie.
Yeah.
But just coming from, you know, the schools of thought that we come from,
right?
You know what I mean? I wasn't expecting to hear that from some of the elders, and I didn't see James Small's take, but I saw Anthony Browder, and I was like, really? I wasn't expecting that at all.
I wasn't either. I wasn't. But at the same time, I don't see Anthony Browder or any of the elders having the character to come out and just diss a movie. You know what I mean? Or just, you know what I mean? Or drag something. I don't think that's in there.
He dragged Precious.
Did he?
Rightfully so. Rightfully so.
Precious is precious. You know what I mean? Precious is precious.
You know what? He did say it was cinematic. And again, I'm paraphrasing too, but he said it was cinematic reparations. Again, key word is cinematic. So it was not based on, you know, the story, you know, being true or false or not.
Right.
It was more the cinematic part, which I expected to be great. You know, we have, what's her name? The one that played, you know, like the actress, I can't think of her name right now.
Viola Davis.
I expected the cinematic part to be great.
Yeah.
But cinematic reparations though, like, I love Charlie. I just don't want him to say that.
I'm gonna watch it within the next few days.
I'm gonna watch it too.
And
I didn't know all this was going on. They said James Smalls, Michael Imhotep, Anthony Browder, Jamal Jordan. I don't know who that is. We said they all rave about it.
Okay, I'm gonna give it a fair shot. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a fair shot just from a cinematic point of view. You know, because they do all these movies all the time, right? Gladiator and, you know, The Northman and the what's the one they did with Egypt, right? The Gods of Egypt or whatever they did. And it's just like
I ain't watched none of them shits, by the way.
They take none of those movies are even close to being historically accurate, right? So they, you know, movies always take certain liberties, you know what I mean? Because they gotta get the people in the chairs. You know what I mean?
True.
They gotta get the people in the chairs. So
that's true. I think we're just in such a place right now where we're kind of guarding our history and guarding our culture. And you know, we see the people behind the scenes, these white feminist women behind the scenes, and we're like, what's the agenda here? You know what I'm saying? We're on guard. I think that's just what it is. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. That was my reservations of it too. It was like, but that'll take us down a whole nother rabbit hole of a conversation, bro.
Right. We're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do all that. This is the Black Business Showcase. We'll get you on a Sunday for that one.
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
There was one more link that you got over here. So I pulled up the outofdarknessfilm.com. I pulled up the 7 collections, and we got Building 7 Media also.
Yeah.
And I want to show the Out of Darkness trailer too while we're here.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Lord Jesus. Man. All right, let me get this pulled up for y'all. In the meantime, family, hit the like button, hit the share button. Okay, here we go. Boom. All right, and so what is this site designed for?
This is just my company. This is my company website. Right? Okay. So it probably needs to be updated. I need to be updated. But this is my company. This is my Building 7 Media company website. You know, it's more of like a blog style setup. You know, but everything's just real simple, man. You know, everything's just here's what it is. Here's where you go to get it. Here's what it is. Here's where you go to get it. I don't want like people spending a whole bunch of time on the site. You know what I mean? That's not what the site is there for. It's just kind of to keep you updated and tell you where to go to get the new films or the new product or the new videos on YouTube.
What's the next movie, by the way?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, Heavy as a Crown is not done. Heavy as a Crown is, you haven't seen the whole.
It says volume 1. So
it says volume 1. says volume 1. So that's
Right.
the next one is in the works. But I also have a working on a project on Detroit, bro. The history of Black Bottom and Paradise Valley in Detroit.
Yeah, I got a book over here about that too.
Yeah, bro.
My dude Wakil Allah. What's this book? It's actually the history of the NOI, but they talk a lot about that Black Bottom area over there. In Detroit.
Yeah.
Shout out to my dude Wakil Allah. Yeah, it's a lot of that history in here.
Yeah.
Some needs, some references.
So I've been going back and forth to Detroit since 2015. Really, that's why I keep bringing up my boy Toby so much, because he's the one that I'm doing a project with. He's like executive producing it, so he's the one that's like linking me. He flies me out there, links me up to everybody. We're shooting everybody, going to all these different locations. So Detroit kind of grew into like my second home. Like I said, it just reminds me of Oakland so much. So we got some heavy hitters in there, man. We got everybody pretty much from the city. Everybody from, Michael Imhotep's in there. Jamon Jordan is in there. Dr. Claude Anderson is in there. A lot of big names, a lot of influential people. You know what I mean?
You probably familiar with the brother out there that has the Nagash clothing brand.
Yeah, man. He gave me a backpack. I got a couple backpacks. Matter of fact, I got one. I could hold on. I could go grab it right now, but
yeah, grab it. Grab it. I grabbed mine too. Shit. It's the Black Business Showcase.
Okay, right? We showcase Black businesses up in here. Nice.
See if you got the same one I got.
Yeah, you got the red one. Yeah, I got this one. I got this one, and I got the gold. I got the yellow one. Yeah, these are my film backpacks, bro. This is what I shoot in. Yeah, he gave it to me. I saw him at over there by Bucharest. There's a clothing store. It's called 313 Clothing or something like that over there by Bucharest. I think it's off Jefferson.
We got to get him on here, man. I reached out to him a couple of times. But
cool brother. He's cool, man. He's a cool brother. There's another guy I work with. His name is Keo, and he runs Detroit Kid. Okay. And he's the one that plugged me with the merch guy, with the company that does my hats over there across seas. I ain't gonna give you guys too much information, but Keo hooked me up.
Okay.
With the hat people.
Yep. So the first month was in Detroit. Yep. A lot of history in Detroit, man.
Man, it's just so much history, bro. Detroit is like the black. I know they say like Atlanta is like black. DC and Atlanta is like. DC Chocolate City and Atlanta is where all the black people, but Detroit, bro, like the blackness is just like you could cut it with a knife, bro. Like it is just like so much history. When you're walking through the buildings, you could just feel it. They feel haunted. You can feel like the ghosts. You can feel the spirits. You know what I mean? It's just like I love it. I love Detroit. I'm mad that they shut down Dilla's Donuts though. I'm mad. I want to get some Dilla's Donuts.
They shut it down or they're shutting it down?
They shut it down. Or at least the one that I used to go to. I don't know if they have different locations, but the one that I used to go to, I don't think it's there no more. I think they shut it down. But them donuts was fire. The Dilla's Donuts was fire. And they had vegan donuts in there.
Let us watch the Heavy as the Crown trailer.
Yep.
Yo, this movie, y'all need to go watch this movie. Especially now that we know it's available everywhere. It's cool if you get the DVD. I got the DVD. But watch this movie, man, whatever you got to do. This movie is dope as hell.
Everybody has a story of how things became what it is.
And all of the stories that we're experiencing up to date are all based on the original mythological story.
Myths are ways of codifying profound truths.
And so in order to pass on the knowledge of these things, our ancestors began to put them in the form of stories.
Because myth becomes a way of speaking to that.
And it's all considered to be mythology because it is based on a belief.
And then we create rituals that reinforces the logic and the knowledge of the myth.
The story then goes into a ceremony that is constantly going to remind people.
That's where the rituals come in, where we began to practice this, what they call a Syrian drama.
This story, this African story of an African trinity, is over 6,000 years old.
There's several different pieces of that story that are in direct correlation to the story of Jesus.
Scholars know this. Why do they allow people keep thinking it's a religion unless they have an untoward agenda? And it's very clear that they've created a lot of confusion.
Dope stuff, man.
Appreciate it. Yeah, that was a little teaser. That was the teaser trailer. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. All right. And so before we get out of here,
yep.
What was I gonna ask you, man? Just had something I wanted to ask you before I played that. Slipped my mind. I'll think of it in a second, but nicely you could make it do what it do.
All right. So we like to kind of ask 2 questions before we let you leave for the evening. Again, thank you so much for tuning in, joining us here on the Godcast. We do appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
What does freedom and power mean to you?
Oh, that's a good question. Freedom to me means, like when you say freedom, it makes me think of it in a business sense, like having the freedom to do, having the monetary power to do what you want to do without anybody controlling you, right? So in my situation, freedom to me means like not having a boss, me running my own company, right? Me doing my own deals, me waking up when I want to, and I still wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning because I just want to go hard in the paint every single day. Not having to be told what to do, making my own schedule, being the boss of my life and controlling my own destiny. And power is the tool that helps to achieve that. And power, I mean, man, I'm trying to give you like a short answer, but power is the ability to get things done. Power is energy, and you basically need energy to survive, like a battery, right? So you need power to be able to get things done. So I guess they go hand in hand, right? I don't know if that was the answer you were looking for.
That's the answer.
We want your answer. I agree that they go hand in hand, though.
Yeah. You can command power. You can command power if you're vibrating correctly. You know what I mean? Power isn't always tied to money, but I think money is the most easily visual aspect of what power can do, right? Because money is power at the end of the day. It's just energy. It's just the ability to get things done. You know what I mean?
Yes,
I yell at a lot of people on the phone every day because I need stuff done. You know what I mean? I feel like an a-hole at the end of the day, but it's like I have to be an a-hole and I have to be assertive because people don't take me seriously sometimes, and I need like stuff done like right away. You know what I mean? So I gotta get on the phone and yell at Google executives or Apple executives or Amazon executives, not executives, but probably workers. But yeah, I have to showcase that power in order to motivate people to get things done that I need to be done.
Yes, indeed. And so, yeah, I remember what I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
Have you ever met Tariq Nasheed? Are you guys familiar with each other?
I haven't met Tariq.
Okay. Because I swear, every time he does a film and he's looking for videographers and stuff, I'll be tagging you like a motherfucker. I'm like,
Do
yo,
you?
you need to get Amadeuz. Like, why you don't got Amadeuz? Like, what the hell is happening?
He's got a team though, man. He's got
he outsources a lot of things.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
I need to do that.
That would be an incredible collaboration. I know you guys are both busy doing your own individual things, but you know, just your skill set, you know what I mean? His marketing and all of that stuff. I think that would be incredible.
Tariq's got an excellent business mind.
Right.
But yeah, that would be dope. I got a few projects on my plate that I need to wrap up. I'm actually like working on a huge IP, bro. Huge IP. And I haven't really talked about it that much, but it's something that it encompasses like 8 seasons of a show, like 16 books, like 3 or 4 different video games, graphic novels. It's like a big story. It's kind of like a Final Fantasy meets Black Panther meets Star Wars meets Zelda. You kind of see where I'm going. So I'm actually in the process.
Meets Out of Darkness.
What's that?
Meets Out of Darkness.
Meets Out of Darkness. Yup.
Okay.
Meets Out of Darkness. Meets Heavy as the Crown times 20. You know,
Okay.
all of this is just like practice for this project that I'm working on. So I definitely would be open to new projects if it makes sense monetarily. But I have to learn how to delegate stuff because I can't do all of this on my own. You know what I mean? And I don't want to get bottlenecked. But yeah, I got another installment of Heavy as the Crown coming, and then I got the Detroit film is probably going to come out in 2 parts. So that's just 3 films that I got coming down the pipeline that I need to complete. And then after that, I'll be open, you know what I mean? But I think this project that I'm telling you about is probably going to keep me busy for the next 20 years of my life because it's like a multi-billion-dollar project, bro. It'll probably be the biggest IP ever in history. I'm like that confident in it.
I love it, man. I love it. Like I said, man, I admire your work and talking to you now, hearing, you know, the mindset that you have going into it. And, you know, it sounds like, you know, you're building it's something that like what Nipsey Hussle was talking about, you know what I'm saying? Where he was studying, like when you look at Disney and how they have all these different characters that fall under that umbrella. It was like, you know, we're a brand as MCs, as artists, you know what I'm saying? We're a brand. So we need to just build products around who we are, what we do. And that's what it sounds like you're doing, you know what I'm saying, with your content.
Absolutely.
And so that's, you know, that's incredible, man. Good luck with everything. Not luck, but you know what I'm saying?
Appreciate it.
May
It's a lot.
Ancestors be with you.
It's a lot of work, man, but it pays off. You know, I'm thinking about generation. I'm thinking about my grandkids. You feel me?
Indeed.
I'm thinking about having a legacy to hand to my grandkids' kids. You know what I mean?
And so
mindset we all should be on.
This is the part, brother. Last part. I got to put you on the Summer Jam screen right now.
Okay.
The microphone is yours, and the entire Black community is listening.
Ooh.
What parting words would you like to leave us with tonight?
Parting words. Let's be adults. Let's care about these kids. Let's grow up. Let's address our internalized self-hatred. Let's get serious because we like to be very serious about not being serious. So let's get serious. Let's stop all the excuses and let's compete. We need to stop crying about racism, because racism just implies that we're all in a race. And when you spend time complaining about what your opponent is doing, it takes the focus off what you need to be doing. And if you ever run a race, they always tell you not to look to the side or not to look at, the opponent that's running next to you. Just focus on that finish line. I think Black people, or so-called Black people, really need to focus on the finish line. Yeah. Let's get serious about this business, man. Let's set up these empires, and let's think about generations in the future, and not just about having fun on Friday because it makes you feel good while you got your kids at home. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Appreciate that, man.
I try to make it not sting so much. You know what I mean? I be feeling like, I honestly, bro, I have a lot of conversations with my team, and I feel like a lot of the times, like, I could be harsh, or my words could be harsh because it's like too direct. And I think a lot of times Black people want stuff sugar coated for them. I'm not the sugar coat guy.
Yeah, we had enough sugar. We had enough sugar. Yeah. We diabetic out this month. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But I love you. That's what I really wanted to say. I love you. I love all Black people. I really want us to win. And I really want us to be competitive, man. That's the thing. I want us to.
I love that part when you said that.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
When you said that first, that took me with you for the rest of the statement. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I understand that. I understand that sentiment completely. Like,
yeah,
that's a fact, man.
Yeah.
Where is my stuff, man? I'm clicking on the wrong buttons over here. Okay, here we go. All right. So yeah, we're gonna go on and wrap this one up, man. Great conversation, man. Appreciate you coming through, brother. I know you busy. You got your own stuff going on, so we definitely appreciate you taking out the time to come on our platform, share the wisdom, share your work, share your story. You know what I mean? And so,
you got to shoot me some music too, bro.
I was just about to say it.
I need some music.
I was just about to say it. I'm hoping I spark you enough to come point your camera at me one of these days. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So you know what I mean? That'd be like a dream. So you know what I mean? I'm definitely gonna be sending you some music. So we got some new stuff coming. So I'm gonna make sure you get it exclusive before we actually drop.
Dope. Right? Okay. Appreciate that. Looking forward to it.
For sure. nyctegur, you got anything?
I do not, other than check us out on Sunday for the current events, broadcast on Sundays. Meet us here, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you to everyone who joined into this conversation tonight. Peace to everyone in the chat. Peace to everyone that looked at home. Peace to everybody that's going to look at the playback. Also, make sure you do support our brother Amadeuz Christ and all of his endeavors, his movies, his merch. Everything is on his website. Also, make sure you guys are following him on Instagram at Amadeuz Christ, and subscribe to his YouTube channel, Building 7, and that's SE7EN.
Yep. You got it on YouTube.
Perfect.
And so, yeah, man, that does it for today's episode of Sincere Love the Godcast. Appreciate everybody tapping in with us as always. Appreciate our guest. We will see you guys on Sunday. But remember, we are not the master teachers. We are only the master students and signal boosters for the voices of the new Black media. Peace and Black love.
Peace.
Most resilient, we poster children of prophecy fulfillment. We gotta be God's children.